drove themselves to the hospital. Police investigating both of these shootings, asking if anyone knows anything about these incidents to give police a call.
90 people are without a place to go this morning after a fire at a rehabilitation center in Morganton. Everyone was evacuated safely. No one was hurt. Officials are now working to relocate the patients to other facilities in temporary shelters. The cause of the fire is under investigation.
Happening today, Krista Bakari expected to formally join the race for Charlotte City Council's District 6 seat. That's in South Park. She is the wife of former Councilman Tark Bakari. She previously applied to fill that seat temporarily, but lost in a tiebreaker vote.
And 2 major construction projects begin today in Charlotte. In Mooresville, the right lanes on I-77 in both directions will permanently close with added lane closures each night. And that project is expected to last several months. On I-85, lane closures will begin tonight between Mallard Creek Church Road and W.T. Harris Boulevard in the University City area.
All right, it's gorgeous outside this morning. Grab those sunglasses. You will certainly need them. 74 degrees right now. Want to show you our one ongoing accident. It's in University City where we're following this wreck here on W.T. Harris Boulevard and J.W. Clay Boulevard. There's a picture of what's going on. Eastbound lanes are currently stopped right now as they're clearing the crash. So just allow for a few extra minutes if your morning commute typically takes you this direction. Chris.
Nothing too unusual here. You have the mid-90s, then the low 90s, then the mid-90s. Each day a chance for a pop-up shower or thunderstorm. Really today and tomorrow is the better chance in the near term. Then after that they start to pick back up later on the weekend. So just July as July does. So there it is.
All right.
Hey, at least you aren't saying heat index of 110.
Yes, see?
So it's
we already set the bar.
It's improvement from June, right?
Glass half full.
That's right. A reminder, the news does not end here. We've got breaking news, weather and traffic all day.
We're streaming now on WCNC Plus. That starts at 7 a.m. See you soon.
Streaming live right now at 7 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Kaylin Hagwood. Lisa has the day off. We do begin with breaking news. The Avery County Sheriff's Office needs your help finding a missing child. Deputies say this 11-year-old was last seen at his home in an area of Minneapolis about 15 minutes west of Newland.
Investigators haven't released his name yet, but they say he is believed to be on foot heading toward Elk Park or Frank. He was last seen wearing all camo with a bright green shirt underneath. So if you see him, please call police.
Happening right now, astronauts from the Axiom Mission 4 crew are on board a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft. They are getting ready to undock from the International Space Station to head back to Earth.
The time for splashdown isn't clear quite yet, but it will happen in the Pacific Ocean. The crew commanded by Peggy Whitson. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because she has spent more time in space than any other American. We're going to keep our eye on this situation. We'll bring you updates as they come in right here on WCNC Plus. In the meantime, let's get a look at your Monday forecast with Chris Mulcahy.
Thanks a lot, Ben. Not a huge update weather-wise, pretty much what you would expect for this time of the year. And officially yesterday was the 7th day in a row of 90 plus. Now the average is 90 to 91, so that's nothing too crazy. Now if you're talking about a streak of up to 20 plus days, yeah, that's a little bit more historic. But look at all these beautiful shots. Monroe, blue sky. Dallas, blue sky. Anson County, mostly blue sky. And it's really going to be a sunny start, and then we'll pick up more clouds later on in the afternoon. 69 starting point right around Lincoln, 70s for Statesville and Salisbury. The rest of us in the lower to the mid 70s even. This is now the morning low. We officially have now almost reached an hour that sun has risen up, and it's at that point that we usually have our bottom temperature wise. And we're going to race up, likely warming up anywhere from 2 to 4 degrees over the next hour or so. Back to 90 degrees with a slight rain chance by 1 p.m. And I think it's a better chance for storms really late day heading into the evening. That's pretty typical. But then notice the coming days. We have 94. Lower 90s have 91, 92 before we start to warm back up again. But it's only today and tomorrow that have that scattered rain potential. So let's get right to it. Our Futurecast right now, there are some indications that you could start to pick up some darker clouds as we hit as early as about 1 to 2 o'clock. But our Futurecast really keeps a lot of these storms pretty isolated. Now, any given storm will have a chance to be strong to severe. 'Tis the season, and also we have a decent amount of moisture that could be popping some of these up. So even though you don't have a lot here on the maps, a lot of them are going to be more quality over quantity, but then they could become a little more scattered heading into the evening. I think we have some lingering activity heading into tomorrow morning. So overnight tonight, lows dropping down to 73. That's pretty much where we've been hanging out for the better part of the last month, and 75 by about 7 a.m. And it's at that point that's still feeling pretty humid, but we're also having a chance for a little bit of fog. At this point, by 8 o'clock tomorrow, you might have low visibilities down to about a half mile, but most of the area is going to be a-okay. Fog not really an issue. Tomorrow's a different beast, though. I'm actually seeing signs of rain a little bit earlier. It just depends where this is going to be, and I think that the impact for this is again during the afternoon. I'm not anticipating to be that early as far as like 11 to noon for the Charlotte area, but you do see signs that it's going to rain. If we get this converging motion, you're seeing kind of winds come from each direction, that's going to create more widespread storms, especially late day heading into your Tuesday. So nothing really weather alert at this point. Storms start to fizzle out during the evening hours. So the big difference from today to tomorrow, today we have a chance for those storms to last a little bit later through the overnight, and we also have a higher what's called downdraft cape. So that pretty much means the right storm fuel that creates wet microbursts, and that's where most of our wind damage comes from. So I think we could have some isolated wind threats. For your Wednesday, though, it's a little bit more of an isolated to scattered storm environment. This one looks to be trending a little bit further off towards the east, so a better chance that Charlotte stays dry. Then the atmospheric moisture is just thriving. By the end of the week, we're stuck in this red. This red is that near tropical air visiting maybe just general wet conditions. This brings us up to a little bit above normal moisture to the atmosphere. And what that means is that if it does rain, it's a better chance for us to have maybe a flooding rain. Meanwhile, down towards the south, it hasn't formed yet. First off, this low and this trough has to move south, sweep across Florida to the west, and then it's right in that area of yellow that I think especially from about Wednesday to Friday, that's where we could have our next tropical depression, even our next tropical storm. Dexter, by the way, is the next name on the list. The reason why this is so impactful for us is if this starts to push its way off towards the north, it could drive into more clouds, which affects our temperatures. But the biggest thing with these is it increases our moisture content. So that means a higher heat index and a better chance for storms. Again, a close look at the Atlantic storm names. Dexter's up next, and after that, it's Aaron. And Dexter is the only change to this list because these hurricane lists repeat every 6 years. Last time this was used, 2019, we had Dorian, which was one of the slowest moving hurricanes of all time. At one point, peaked to 185 miles per hour as it made landfall right around the Bahamas. Average storm day for the fourth storm of the season isn't until August 15th. So if we do this, this will yet again be well ahead of schedule by close to a month, just as we did for Chantal. 7-day forecast, 94, then the lower 90s, then the mid 90s. So not really a big temperature difference each day. So the lower 90s is a little bit close to where we should be. We average 91 degrees. We really haven't averaged low in a while. It's usually been at least 2 to 3 degrees above that mark. So expect your lows anywhere from 73 to 75. Our highs anywhere from 91 to 96. So just a July looking 7-day forecast. Stay dry though from those passing storms. Let's head over to Majestic. Good morning to you. How's traffic looking?
Good morning. Well, it's beautiful outside this morning. I mean, we are looking at a lot of sunshine, 74 degrees, and we do have a couple of things I need to let you know about if you're getting ready to head out the door this morning that may impact your morning commute. You can see I-77 overlooking Uptown, no problems there, but we are following this where eastbound lanes are now blocked. This is a picture of our most recent and still ongoing accident. I'm going to show you here on my live traffic map exactly where it's at. So University City, you can see lane blocked because of that crash on W.T. Harris Boulevard. Again, eastbound lanes being impacted there at J.W. Clay Boulevard. So I'm going to continue to keep you up to date with that, letting you know when it is cleared. But right now, just those eastbound lanes are currently blocked. Stalled vehicle right here on Beatty's Ford Road at McAllister Drive. You can see mainly green, so the car is likely off to the side and cars are still able to move through it. Want to show you a big picture perspective of what's going on if your morning commute typically takes you along I-77 from Mooresville to Cornelius, even Huntersville. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Starting to see our typical slowdowns. It's a little bit more congested right here on I-85 where cars aren't even moving 20 miles an hour. No slowdowns, no accidents, just a lot of people heading in the same direction. If you're coming in from South Carolina, good morning to you. From Rock Hill to Fort Mill, I-77 is looking all right, and out there towards Matthews, starting to see a little bit of a slowdown there on the inner loop of I-485. We'll get another check on those roads coming up here shortly, but Ben, that's what I'm looking at for now.
All right, Majestic, thanks. Right now, CMPD is investigating a violent weekend in Uptown, including a mass shooting. One person now dead and a number of others are still recovering this morning.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane joining us live from Uptown. And Richard, these two shootings happened just blocks apart near several bars.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Kaylin. Good morning to you. Good morning, Ben. Good Monday morning, everyone. We're here in the First Ward section of Charlotte, and we can tell you those incidents happened just a few blocks away from where I'm standing. And all of this has folks concerned. At this time, police say they are investigating, and they're also looking into the possibility that maybe these two shootings on two separate days, but just a day apart, might be related. Now, we've spoken to CMPD. They said they're working to find the people or the person responsible for opening fire this weekend. That violence erupted in Uptown in two separate shootings near the city's busy nightlife district, all of this in the First Ward area. The first incident happening early Saturday morning around 2:30 a.m. when a parking lot, it happened at a parking lot at 219 East 7th Street. That's near First Ward Park. Medic was able to rush one person to Novant Health Presbyterian Medical Center. That person listed with life-threatening injuries. Just 24 hours later, this also around 2 a.m. Sunday morning, shots rang out, this time on North College Street, just blocks away from Saturday's scene. One person unfortunately died at that scene. 3 other people were transported to the hospital by medic, and 2 more victims arrived at the hospital on their own. Charlotte-Mecklenburg police now investigating Sunday's shooting as a homicide, still investigating both cases. We spoke to people in the area. They say some are concerned, some are worried. Some say while they're on the edge, others say they're trying not to let them time in Charlotte, their lives in Charlotte, be ones of fear. Take a listen.
I want everybody to get along and be safe down here. You know, I've lived down in the city for 30 years, so I obviously feel good. Obviously, people make mistakes, but I always feel safe in this city. Yeah, you know, no matter when, morning, day, or night. You know, I don't frequent it super late at night, but I really feel comfortable here.
Yeah, but as you can imagine, some folks who do go out late at night are not feeling comfortable. We've heard from a number of people, including people who live or frequent that area. They say they're very concerned about police response. At this point, police have said if anyone has information, to give them a call. We'll be talking to them as well to see about more on these incidents as well. We're right here in the First Ward section. We'll send it back to you.
Yeah, Richard, certainly a lot of questions in this case. I want to actually bring this in. Richard, you stay on standby because I want to get your reaction to it. Encore nightclub, one of the clubs where this all took place, releasing a statement. And in that statement, they say, "We are heartbroken by the tragic loss of one of our valued employees. Our deepest condolences go out to the family." And they also say, "We want to make it clear that this incident did not occur or stem from any conflict or altercation inside Encore. It appears to be the result of a senseless act of gun violence." Richard, I know you heard from folks, neighbors who are living in the area who have been concerned about their safety after all of this taking place. Can you tell us a little bit more about how incidents like this sort of kind of add to the concern for folks who are living right near that the entertainment area?
Yeah, first of all, let's talk about that person who worked at the nightclub, releasing a statement, the ownership releasing a statement about that person who was a bartender, caught apparently in the crossfire, someone who was just doing their job, working that night, as were some of the people who were actually injured in that gunfire. So whoever opened fire, the people they were aiming at, people, and this is the case whenever there's crime and shootings, innocent people's lives are also put at risk. That has people in the community quite upset about this situation that happened. And it's the same thing for the parking lot shooting. People, even if it's their intended targets, they hate to hear about gunfire. Anybody could be walking down the street and fall victim to it. And when the people just willingly and openly fire and shoot at other people, or just shoot in general, things like this happen. So we'll hear a lot about, we're concerned, we're saddened about the tragic loss of life, but people who say they live in Uptown or frequent Uptown, they say while they're sad, dismayed, and upset at that, they also want more to be done to keep innocent people safe. That's something we keep hearing.
If you think about it.
And we'll continue to press police on that as well.
Yeah, because if you think about, Richard, as you know, that block of College Street, you're 2 blocks away from Bank of America corporate headquarters. You're a block away from a Holiday Inn. You're about 2 blocks away from the Lincoln, which is a huge, tall apartment high-rise. I mean, and you've got about 10 bars in that one block. I mean, it can be a very populated area on the weekend that could put any number of people at risk. Richard Devane reporting live for us there. Richard, thank you.
And a lot of times it's in a close area.
Yeah, very close area. Great point. Yeah. Richard, thank you. All right, 6:13 right now. Happening today, a new but somewhat familiar name expected to join the race for Charlotte City Council's District 6 seat. That's South Park. Krista Bakari, the wife of former Councilman Tark Bakari. She previously applied to fill that seat temporarily, but lost in a tiebreaker vote. She's expected to officially file the run later today.
Happening right now, the crew of Axiom Mission 4 is getting ready to undock from the ISS. Let's listen in to the feed from SpaceX. A little quiet right now, waiting on the
We are now about 4 minutes into that autonomous undocking sequence that began at 6:10 a.m. Central, 7:10 a.m. Eastern. We are standing by for physical separation here in just under a minute at 6:15 a.m. Central, 7:15 a.m. Eastern, once the final set of 6 hooks has fully retracted.
All hooks now open and nominal.
Ocean concerns.
And Dragon Grace has
Dragon separation confirmed.
And Dragon Grace has officially undocked from the International Space Station at 6:15 a.m. Central, 7:15 a.m. Eastern, as the orbiting laboratory was flying 260 statute miles over the east coast of India. And we also have confirmation that Depart 1, the first departure burn of the 4 departure burns, is underway. And that first departure burn has completed.
Performance nominal.
And then the next departure burn, Depart Burn 1, will take place in about 5 minutes. After that departure burn is complete.
To follow this.
We should say that, folks, we were hoping to see the whole undocking happen.
Yeah.
You know, best laid plan sometimes doesn't work out. But again, those astronauts now headed back down to Earth.
That's right. And here on Earth, there is some bad news this morning for South Carolina homeowners. New data shows home insurance rates could actually rise due to a busy hurricane season. According to a new report, South Carolina has the 4th highest chance of getting hit by a major hurricane. The state has seen damage from heavy rain and storm surges in the past, so insurance companies are raising rates because disasters are causing more losses. But there are ways that you can lower your cost. Those include adding home improvements like storm-resistant windows, choosing higher deductibles to lower your premiums, or paying out of pocket for minor damage to avoid rate increases. Chris?
Thanks a lot, Kaylin. And luckily, no near hurricanes for the South Carolina shoreline, at least in the near term. The next one's going to be Florida. Florida looks like the Florida Gulf Coast. We're going to have a solid possibility really later on this week. So I'd say anywhere between about Wednesday to Friday is going to be your best potential. Feeling like 100 degrees, that's just the maximum. We did that yesterday. We did that the day before. So that's visited for less than an hour. Feeling like 98 for a max on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then back to that hundo mark. And our rainfall chances are especially high today and tomorrow. After that, it's just the usual pop-up showers and storms. I'm not really looking at anything super impressive. Now, we do have a decent amount of storm fuel, a few holes here and there, but this is a perfect environment for an isolated, what's called a microburst. Those wet microbursts that come with us, usually during the summertime especially. That's just wherever you get a intense storm that literally drops all the way to the water and then it rushes some of the wind out. And that's why really I think going to be highest, especially west of I-77. Tomorrow we start to see that brightness return to us. Isolated scattered thunderstorms will be possible yet again, and we do it one more time on Wednesday, but those values really come down. Here's a look at our Futurecast. I think we're dry most of the day here in Charlotte, so don't be waiting hour by hour during the afternoon for a storm. After 5 o'clock, I think it's a better potential. We're seeing signs of this, just an isolated storm here. Start to flourish a little bit more. We saw this yesterday. Didn't really have too many storms. Then next thing you know, see a few clusters here and there. Same thing happened on Saturday. And then once you get to about the middle of the evening, this evening has a better chance for these storms to last a little bit longer. So we still have a chance for a downpour or just scatter rain in general as late as 4 a.m. tomorrow. And those that see the rain today, we're eventually going to try to get rid of the moisture out of the ground. Then that could turn into some fog from place to place. Just depends where you are. Our Futurecast for tomorrow, a better chance for a pop-up shower or thunderstorm after 2 o'clock across the Charlotte area. I think it's most active here in the mountains and the foothills. And it just depends on where this line makes it. If it makes it a little bit further down to the southeast, it's going to be a better chance. But it's mainly up in here that has the best chance for a little higher rain totals, all in all. The worst case scenario for tomorrow, things are a little bit more scattered across the area, so we could have a couple of hours of rain versus to some areas really not seeing anything at all. It's been a hot stretch so far. We are now officially heading into day 14 of July, but through 13 of them, it's the 8th warmest in Charlotte history. We've averaged close to a 93-degree high and a 73-degree low. That's the one that really stands out to me because we're averaging about 70, 71 soon for our lows this time of year. We haven't had a below average low temperature in Charlotte for for over a month now. And that's what's really been driving some of these warmer month records, especially over in April. Just didn't get all that cool. And then we're still going to be rocking above average lows, only by a couple degrees, but that does make a difference for the averages, 73 to 75 over the coming days. As far as the satellite and radar goes, nothing really happening for the near term, but you do have a little trough in this low. I am letting you know that these are some of the pieces that need to cross over into Florida and then eventually over to the Gulf Coast that will be our next potential tropical system. So we still have a while until it actually gets there, but just note it could change the back end of our forecast, because the way that these systems go, even if they're just a remnant low, say if it makes landfall down here in the south and dissipates, the moisture doesn't go anywhere. That actually spreads across the area, so that could allow for some higher dew points. That's more storm fuel, and that means also more of an active flood threat as we conclude this 7-day forecast. So I think that's the biggest change that we have. So we do have an increasing flood threat for any heavier downpours, and also just a better chance for rain in general heading into the weekend. Not a big difference for our highs either. 91 to 96. We should average 91 this time of year, continuing that above average trend. Let's see if traffic is below or above average so far this morning with Majestic. Good morning.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is beautiful outside, 74 degrees. The moment you step outside, it is warm, lots of sunshine. You can see it well. Taking a live look outside, you can see lots more cars now that we're in that 7 o'clock hour. A few things you're going to want to know as you are heading out the door this morning. We actually have a wreck now on I-85 northbound that's slowing people down at least 10 minutes. So I-85 north on Main Street, that's exit 22. It's backed up to New Hope Road at exit 20. Cars aren't even moving at 15 miles an hour, so very slow moving. It's already a very busy time of the day where we typically see that congestion, so it doesn't help when we actually have an ongoing wreck. Another crash here on Wilkinson Boulevard at Tuckasegee Road, seeing some medium impacts there. And then Independence, just pulling up this picture here as we have an accident on Margaret Wallace Road in Independence, so inbound lanes will be impacted here. I'm not seeing a significant backup quite yet, but likely we will as more people are heading out the door. I-77, both inbound and outbound, seem to be all right from Cornelius to Huntersville. We'll have another check on those roads all coming up in just a few minutes, but Kaylin, that's what I'm looking at for now.
All right, Majestic, thanks so much. Everyone deserves a break every now and then, but turns out one of the main reasons that they don't put in PTO is actually guilt. A recent study shows that many Americans feel guilty about taking vacation, worrying they would look lazy or be seen as replaceable. And because of this, workers often cut vacations short, apologize for taking time off, or hide their plans. Some workers also noted feeling like they were being punished with bad performance reviews after they took these vacations.
I feel like this is very circa like 2005 or like 1999 or like I don't know many. Like I remember back in the day, like when I was younger, starting off, like there was that sort of competition. I feel like more people are like,
embrace
peace.
it.
Yeah.
I feel like
by the way, can I work from home? And it's like, oh, okay, sure.
But I also feel like this is the Ben Thompson of today, right? Who's been here for years. If you were just starting at the station, I mean, I'm newer than you here. I definitely felt like I need to be, here as consistently as possible.
Yeah, I guess that surprises me, just because I feel like every other story we do is about how a younger generation wants work-life balance.
Yeah.
That was a phrase I never came out of my mouth the first 10,
You're acting
15
like you're
years.
old or something, Ben.
I
What in the world is
23
happening?
going on 24.
I know, that's why I'm confused.
I know, it is
I
confusing.
feel like if you work hard and you're a good employee, then I think that you need to reset. You need to find those ways to reset.
Everybody needs it. Everybody needs work-life balance. Everybody needs a break.
Then you might turn into a grouch if you don't ever take a break.
True.
We don't need any grouches.
I think it also depends on the size of the company too. Say if you have a big responsibility and there's only a few of you, you might feel bad about like, hey, the weight on that. We have a big company, so we don't have to worry about that. But even for our weather team, it's still relatively small with other things. So if multiple people are off, you might have some of that guilt.
Yeah.
So I think it just really depends on some of those other circumstances. But take that PTO. Some of it you lose at the end of the year. So
use it or lose it.
It's part of your payment package.
It's exactly.
Well, we're going to take a quick break here, but before we go, here's another look at the undocking happening there for the at the International Space Station. We are monitoring that, but you're going to have a check of your weather and traffic coming up in just a couple minutes, and more on that at 7:30, along with your other headlines.
I'll never forget.
Good morning and happy Monday to you. Temperatures jumping through the 80s this morning, and then we'll be back to around 90 by about 1 p.m. Just note that we do have yet again a heat index that could approach that 100-degree mark, even 100 plus from place to place. And our Futurecast also picking up on a few showers or storms possible today and also again tomorrow. So I think they're going to be most scattered, especially for your Tuesday, but then both days have a chance for a cluster of storms to end the day and begin the evening. But a lot of us are going to miss out on either one or both rounds over the next couple. For the Charlotte FC match, not too bad for your Wednesday. We'll have some isolated scattered thunderstorms yet again. And then we're back to that 20% just pop-up thunderstorm potential on Thursday and Friday. And then the moisture jumps up again, more scattered storms back to the mid-90s for this weekend. Majestic, take it away.
All right, good morning, everyone. What a beautiful start to the day. Sunny skies. It is going to be a nice summer-like day, that's for sure. 74 degrees if you're heading out the door anytime soon. I-85 northbound lanes, we have a 10-minute delay because of an accident. It's on Main Street, exit 22. It's backed up to exit 20. In addition to that, another ongoing wreck on Wilkinson Boulevard and Tuckasegee Road, so be mindful. Inbound lanes on Independence will also be slowed down just a bit as we're following this ongoing wreck. More coming up on WCNC Plus.
You are streaming live right now at 7:30 right here on WCNC+. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Kaylin Hagwood. Lisa has the day off. In just hours, a major construction project will begin that could have a big impact on your commute.
All right, so starting tonight, construction crews will shut down part of I-77 in both directions in Mooresville.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards live for us this morning with a closer look at what's changing and what it means for you, Destiny.
Yeah, tonight crews are going to be shutting down some lanes on I-77 right here at exit 36, which takes you on to NC 150 here in Mooresville. This is all a part of a massive road project happening in Mooresville, but temporarily traffic's going to get worse before it gets better. Now, starting tonight at 8 o'clock, that's when the right lanes on I-77 in both directions near exit 36 will close. And it's just the beginning of a $249 million project to widen NC 150 from NC 16 in Catawba County to US 21 in Mooresville, including a brand new 10-lane bridge. Crews are working in phases, starting with widening eastbound traffic on NC 150, then westbound, then the bridge construction. 2 lanes will remain open in each direction on I-77, but expect nightly closures from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. NCDOT says when the new bridge is finished, the existing one will be torn down.
The new bridge is going to have 10 lanes. That's not all through lanes. Of course, there's going to be some turn lanes on the bridge as well. But once all that's done, we tie it into Highway 150 on the approaches from both directions, and then we can remove the existing bridge.
And NCDOT says they're going to start with those right lane closures, but it could change as this work continues. And they don't have a firm completion date yet for this project, but they say to expect that first phase of work to take several months. Ben, Kaylin.
Dusty, give us some sense, I mean, just from where you're standing, so oftentimes big construction like this can impact businesses and impact their bottom lines because it becomes a hassle. I mean, just looking around there, I'm familiar with the exit, but I mean, are you anticipating that some of the businesses there could very well be impacted by some of this construction?
It's definitely possible. This exit, as you're probably aware of, and I am, is the main exit into Mooresville. So a lot of people will be having to detour, either getting into the area earlier at the Cornelius exit or possibly have to keep going. So it's definitely a stop that everyone is used to. A lot of the businesses here are, gas stations, fast food areas. And so that's definitely going to impact a lot of people. But again, this is just a short-term issue for what is a long-term improvement for this area as more people move to the Mooresville and Lake Norman community. So definitely a temporary headache for people, but something that's definitely going to hopefully improve the lives of drivers here and those businesses as well.
Absolutely. Destiny Richards reporting for us there. Thank you so much.
All right, let's get to another construction project that also begins today. This time in Northeast Charlotte, starting at 9 tonight. You can expect lane closures on I-85 between Mallard Creek Church Road and W.T. Harris Boulevard. That's in University City. Crews putting in safety barriers, and work is expected to last through early September. And as we're talking road construction, great time to bring in Majestic with a look at your morning commute.
All right, good morning, everyone. Still want to talk about that construction, though, because I'm going to give you some alternate routes since this will be ongoing for quite some time, especially this one right here on I-85. Remember, they're going to start to build the bridge, and the impacts will actually start tonight all the way through September 11th. So this is not going to be a quick, easy solution here. Now, remember, between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m., that's where those impacts will be tonight between Mallard Creek Church Road and Harris Boulevard. Now, if you typically drive this time later on in the evening or early in the morning and you're coming in from the north going to the south, you're going to still want to take I-85 south, but get off at I-485. Then you can get to North Tryon Street. That'll take you right to Interstate 85, that service road, and that'll get you right around that construction. In addition to that one, remember the I-77 one out there towards Mooresville, also going to be ongoing for quite some time. That permanent closure as they continue to work on that project project on exit 36. So we don't have an actual date for when it's going to be completely done, but I'd say your best bet for this one would just be to take Highway 21 to get right around it. Well, as you're heading out the door this morning, I do want to give you some updates on what's going on right now. I'm watching I-85 north because we have about a 10-minute delay because of an ongoing crash. It's at exit 22 and it's backed up to exit 20. Cars are moving very slowly, not even 20 miles an hour because of that ongoing crash. Another one here at Wilkinson Boulevard and Tuckasegee Road. A lot of yellow indicating those medium impacts, but also seeing some red there, which is meaning stop and go traffic. So make sure you're really just driving with caution if you typically drive that way. Still watching this. This is a picture of what has happened there. Inbound lanes on Independence at Margaret Wallace Road. There is a crash that has completely stopped one lane. You can see that arrow pointing to that truck there. We're going to have more updates as we continue to learn more, but that's what I'm looking at right now for your Monday morning commute. Kaylin.
Real quick, let's get to your weather report. We have a few of those upper level clouds that are streaking across the area, and not a lot of mention really as far as a big change to the forecast. The typical pattern, afternoon and evening storms is what we have out and about each and every day. But I think especially today and tomorrow that there's going to be a higher storm potential, especially compared to yesterday. Yesterday, not much actually happened on the map. And then near normal hump, though, lower to the mid 90s, and a flood risk possible all week. However, I think it gets a little bit higher into the weekend. That could be all due to a tropical system that could be forming to our south. We'll get to that in a second, but our dew point trend, it's called mixing out. And oftentimes you have the highest moisture content in the morning, but then once those higher temperatures start to get into the mid to the upper 90s on some days, or even just the lower 90s, it can bring these values down. That's exactly what we saw yesterday. So it was actually feeling less humid during the afternoon, but then you're definitely feeling it by the evenings. Today, we have that mixing trend, but these values are a little bit higher than yesterday. So even though yesterday had a high of 97 and I only have 94 today, the difference of that 3, well, the moisture almost makes it just as hot as what we had yesterday. I think we could have a spike to around 100 as far as our actual real feel is concerned. High temperatures in the lower to the mid 90s. We do have a slight chance for that isolated shower or thunderstorm during the afternoon. I think a slightly better chance heading into the early evening. And then we'll have some lingering on and off rain potential through the overnight. 83 feeling like 88, 80 feeling like 85, so very much an active heat index to say the least. Our forecast hour by hour tomorrow, I think the big difference is tomorrow we start off with a little bit more fog than what we had this morning. We also just have more cloud cover. We did a lot of this last week that it wasn't the nicest start to the day. That you had some patchy fog. Oftentimes that leads to a lower deck of clouds, and then it takes a while for it to burn off, and then we try to make up, play catch up, trying to get those more storms to roll back into the area. So speaking of storms, let's get right to your Futurecast. Let's try to plan them out and see the general trend that we're looking at today. Here's the start right around 2 o'clock. So that's pretty much each and every day. That's usually the magic hour, 1 to 2. You need a front to arrive a little bit earlier to drive these up ahead of their own fruition. We see our first signs of this up in the mountains. Now this could pop up anywhere between about 2 and 4 that we're starting to see these, and then they'll start to work their way down towards the south and east. So I think a lot of this activity could linger a little bit later on into the evening. Isolated storms still possible to end the afternoon and begin the evening. So let's call about 5 to 10. I think we have our best thunderstorm potential. Some of these could be strong to severe. We have a high downdraft cape, so all that really means is that you have a higher potential for what's called wet microbursts, and that causes some elevated wind damage from place to place, where actually 90% of our wind damage that we receive from thunderstorms is indeed wet microbursts. So again, a typical pattern that we have for this time of year. Lingering scattered showers heading into tomorrow. Now tomorrow afternoon, it again starts in the mountains. We have a chance for isolated storms working their way down towards the south and east, and then this will eventually dissipate through the evening. So very similar each day. This is a really tough forecast that we, again, can't tell you it's going to be in at this point, it's out at this point. Storms are just popping up, and then they'll twist and bend around, and that's over the next couple of days. Tonight's forecast, as we drop down into the lower 70s, is a really interesting trend, because I've noticed that our lows have been super warm recently. By tomorrow morning, we're also looking at some of that patchy, dense dense fog as well. And then through the course of the next few days, we're actually going to see those temperatures come up. So tomorrow is actually the only day that's actually at the average. The average is 91. So I have a high of 91 for Tuesday, 92 on Wednesday. And then we're seeing that gradual climb back up into the mid-90s just in time for the weekend. However, there is a chance for a developing system down to our south that could be potentially Tropical Storm Dexter. I'm going to show you the possible implications to our forecast coming up, as well as a look at what's been happening around the country. See you soon.
All right, Chris, thanks so much. Now to this other major story here in our area. Right now in Morganton, dozens of rehab patients are without a place to go this morning. WCNC Charlotte's Anna King was at the Grace Heights Rehabilitation Center and has what's next for those impacted.
Sunday around 1 p.m., Morganton Public Safety was dispatched to Grace Heights Rehabilitation Center, where a fire had broken out.
What I was seeing was just a lot of the fire trucks and the ambulances that cruised up first, and a lot of the police department from Morganton came in really quickly.
Neighbors say they see sirens all the time, but this time felt different.
I was worried. I was worried it was Grace Ridge. I was worried it was that area. I was worried it's a hospital.
When crews arrived, they found active flames inside and raced to get the fire under control. No lives were lost as a result of the fire, but 90 patients had to be evacuated and are now displaced. Facility leaders say almost immediately it was all hands on deck, with the people in the community offering to help with resources.
There's a lot of good folks around Morganton, and they always reach out to help each other out, always.
As officials work to place every patient somewhere safe for the time being, the cause of the fire is still under investigation. In Burke County, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
Well, if you've gotten a new car loan or you're planning to get one, you may have heard about a new tax break in the Big Beautiful Bill.
It could save you thousands, but there are some catches you need to know about. WCNC Charlotte's Tanya Rivera verifies for us this morning.
You've heard a lot about the One Big Beautiful Bill, including this headline. You can deduct your auto loan interest off your taxes next year. Is this for anyone who has a car loan? Let's verify. Our sources are the One Big Beautiful Bill and Tiffany Dodson of Stanaland Dodson and Associates. The One Big Beautiful Bill, it's lengthy. Section 70203 details the no tax on car loan interest. The tax deduction is available taxable years 2025 through 2028. And there's a dollar limit that you can deduct, up to $10,000 for each taxpayer. But not every taxpayer can take this deduction. This needs context.
If you're an individual filer, filing single, etc., your income needs to be $100,000 or less to take full advantage of this credit. If you're married filing jointly, it starts phasing out at $200,000. Now, what does that mean? It means that the deduction starts getting reduced. It's reduced $200 for every $1,000 you are over. So at the point that an individual earns $150,000 or a married filing joint earns $250,000, we're phased out. We can't take that interest deduction any longer.
Another stipulation, the tax deduction has a weight limit. The motor vehicle has to be under 14,000 pounds. So cars, trucks, motorcycles, that's fine, but no campers, no RVs. And the vehicle needs to be assembled in America.
Your vehicle has to be American assembled. That is different than made in America, believe it or not. American assembled means the parts, some of them could have been made overseas, but they were all assembled on American soil. So there's a key. Assembled in America, not made in America.
So we can verify you can deduct your auto loan interest next year if your vehicle was assembled in America and if you fall within the earnings threshold.
Tanya Rivera reporting for us there. And if there's something you would like us to verify, folks, keep in mind you can always email us at verify@wcnc.com.
And if you're still working from home, especially as a mom, you could be paying a hidden price. New data this morning shows men are returning to the office faster and more women are working remotely. So the flexibility could actually be costing them raises and promotions as companies push people back into the office. Economists warn that women are actually more likely to be left behind as they juggle kids, childcare, and career goals.
7:44 right now at WCNC Plus, and now to the nation's capital. That's President Trump's expressing growing frustration with Russia's war in Ukraine. The permanent ceasefire he promised to achieve on his first day in office remains elusive. Today, the president appears poised to take action. Amy Kiley reports on new consequences that could be in store for Moscow.
I am very disappointed with President Putin.
President Donald Trump says he might make a major announcement about Russia today. He's hosting the NATO Secretary General. Analysts say Trump might be warming to that alliance as he cools toward Russian President Vladimir Putin.
I thought he was somebody that meant what he said, and he'll talk so beautifully and then he'll bomb people at night. We don't like that.
Trump says he's reached a deal to send weapons to Ukraine. He says NATO will pay for them and handle distribution.
Once the Ukrainians have the ability to bring the fighting to Russia in real and sustained ways, Putin will have questions to answer to his own people.
Meanwhile, a bipartisan group of lawmakers is pushing a related bill. It lets Trump levy a 500% tariff on imports from countries that buy Russian uranium, gas, or oil.
A turning point regarding Russia invasion of Ukraine is coming.
Trump's latest rhetoric comes about 5 months after the Ukrainian president visited Washington. That's what a White House official says Trump told him to leave early after a tense Oval Office exchange.
You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards, but without us, you don't have any cards.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Now to a busy few days on the weather front across the country. At the Grand Canyon, multiple wildfires are burning out of control as we speak. The only lodging inside the park's North Rim, the Grand Canyon Lodge, has now been destroyed by flames. Another 50 to 80 structures have also burned. Meantime, flooding remains a big issue across parts of the country. Areas in New York State are cleaning up after thunderstorms brought heavy rain over the weekend. And in Texas, another round of rain is complicating recovery efforts there as nearly 130 people are now confirmed dead. This is actually video out of Kerrville where high water shut down multiple roads. Local officials there are monitoring river levels as we speak. Chris is back with us, and Chris, we just talked about that historic floods that we saw. We're continuing to see issues even here in our area.
And of course, you can expect more rain because it's summertime, but you just don't like to see it over the areas like in Kerrville and just along the Guadalupe River. And that's exactly what they're seeing. And they're not looking at anything like they saw before. That was just kind of a freak storm system. Everything collided at the right point, the perfect part of the river. This is just general rain. But since we've already seen so much rain, that allows things to swell much quicker than they otherwise would. So right now we're dealing with a boatload of flood advisories, flood warnings, flash flood warnings still very active here around Del Rio. And then it's through the course of the next couple of days that you're still going to have this front, the stationary front that's draped all the way from Texas up to New York. So those two stories that we just mentioned, they're actually interconnected. But certain areas like New York, they're actually seeing higher moisture values to the atmosphere than they otherwise do this time of year. So that leads to heavier rain rates that overwhelm the creeks and the streams. Really, it's been recently, over the last week, the amount of flooding that I've seen for pretty much all 48 continental United States. There was massive flooding over in Boston. We've talked about the historic flooding over in Chicago. It's really been an interesting scenario. But I want to show you other parts that are actually turning into more of an issue than what we just saw. Of course, the very heavy rain that fell recently in Kerr County, but there's also been areas northwest of Austin, and Georgetown actually had some serious flooding along the Guadalupe River there. But if you look a little bit closer, see that time it says San Saba? Well, San Saba is another river river that cuts through here, that's at major flood stage, where there's a chance that a lot of the highways surrounding that can go underwater. So it's a different part of Texas that could be dealing with some serious flooding. Nothing compared to what just happened for that historic flooding in Kirk County, but hey, it's still there. As far as the estimated rainfall, it's still much lower than what we're seeing over in Texas. That's pretty typical for New York. Just the fact that we're talking about Massachusetts, New York, and some of these more populated areas for these big flash flooding events they typically don't see just shows that something's different. Something's happened where climate change can lead to a lot of this. And the biggest change, just a little bit more moisture. And that's all it takes. More moisture in the atmosphere allows for those heavier rain rates that can overwhelm those drains and certainly overwhelm those creeks and rivers. Right now, Monroe looking absolutely gorgeous. Look at that beautiful blue sky. Today's a day that I think you're going to be picking up more clouds. You work our way through the afternoon. High temperatures right around 94 degrees. There is a slight chance for a developing shower during the afternoon. Some models are triggering that, but all in all, I do think it's going to be a better chance for storms. I would say late day heading into the evening. Overall, it's just kind of outside the way things have been working recently. So here's a better example of what I think is going to happen. You have a chance for some of those darker clouds earlier in the day, but they first develop up in the mountains and then will slide their way further off towards the east. After 4 o'clock, I think anything goes west of I-77, and we have a good amount of moisture yet again. So some of these slow movers, as they sit over in one place, could lead to some localized flooding. Lower end, nothing major. We do have a low end excessive flood threat for us. It's a little bit higher right here along I-40 in areas north because we've seen more rain here over the last week compared to other surrounding areas. And scattered showers and storms will last well through the evening. So this one is a little bit longer lasting rain chance. Usually it's, hey, they pop up around 2 and around 9 to 10. These could actually last as late as 4 a.m. So yeah, some lingering storms overnight tonight. And then tomorrow we're going to do it again, starting off right around here. Chance of an isolated storm a little bit earlier, but it's really late afternoon heading the evening. We have more of that scattered potential. So a better chance for rain than what we saw yesterday, but nothing this really super extreme. There's also a low chance for a severe thunderstorm, but that's pretty typical for any pop-up or scattered thunderstorm scenario. 94 today, 91 tomorrow, I think with a little bit extra cloud cover. Could start off a little bit cloudier and foggy than what we have today as well, and then slowly but surely getting back to the mid-90s by Friday, heading into the weekend. Really nothing exemplary right here. It's just a typical July forecast. You do have that slight system now a 30% chance of developing down in Florida. I'm actually going to start off the next hour with that because the National Hurricane Center is going to have a brand new update what our time frame is looking at for potentially Tropical Storm Dexter. So we'll let you know more on that. But first, let's hit the roads with Majestic.
All right, good morning, everyone. It is 7:51. If you are packing up and getting ready to head out the door, it's gorgeous outside. Lots of sunshine, 74 degrees right now. You can see I-85 there flowing nice and smoothly as lots of cars are currently out on those area roadways. Let's switch it over to my live traffic maps. I want to break down a couple of things. Still seeing those big backups right now on I-85 as there is an ongoing accident. It's slowing people down about 10 minutes for that delay. The accident's there at exit 22. It's backed up to exit 20. Cars are struggling to get by. I mean, not even moving 15 miles an hour. So allow for some extra drive time if your commute takes you on I-85 northbound. In addition to that, we're watching this crash here. It's on Wilkinson Boulevard at Tuckasegee Road. You can see mainly oranges and reds indicating that traffic is just moving very slowly at this point. Wanted to give you a big picture perspective of I-77. That's what we typically see on a Monday morning. I mean, look at that. Inbound and outbound lanes are just really bright in those colors, meaning that there are a lot of people getting by and they are moving slowly. So we're going to continue to follow that for you as we're heading throughout the next few hours, or the next hour, I should say. But for now, that's what I'm watching for you very closely. Ben.
All right, Majestic, thanks. Right now, 2 young brothers right here in North Carolina are being praised for their heroic actions. They came to the rescue when they say a kitten suddenly landed in the middle of a creek where they were fishing. Elise Sandlin reports.
A loud splash followed by a creature struggling in the water.
I looked back for a second. I saw the splash right out there in the middle. I didn't really think about it too much, but after a second, I kind of was like, that was kind of loud for a fish.
That's what brothers 15-year-old Lane and 10-year-old Aiden Rouse saw when fishing at Contentnia Creek. It's something they do regularly, but they didn't expect their encounter with a furry friend on Wednesday afternoon.
And Aiden was like, look, Lane, and I looked back and there was something swimming in the water.
The boys say they believe someone threw this kitten off Green Street Bridge in Snow Hill.
Well, it's not right. Like, that's one of God's creatures.
Lane and Aiden were able to get the cat to swim to shore, where they pulled her from the banks to rescue her.
It was really wet and muddy. I could tell it was still kind of scared.
The boys brought the cat home, where they were able to bathe her and get her to eat.
She started purring a little bit, and I could tell she had calmed down some.
The boys say she was very sweet and gentle, and they can't imagine why anyone would toss an animal off of a bridge.
Like, hard to think about someone could do that.
Lane says his family brought her to Greene County Animal Shelter. Lane says the cat is now warm and safe and available for adoption.
Hard to believe somebody would do something like that, but thank goodness for people like the men in that story who stepped up and saved the poor little thing.
Absolutely.
Hope it has a happy ending. Yeah. All right, live pictures right now over Uptown as you start your work week. Temperatures looking pretty good out there for right now. Can't make any promises for later. We got another check of your forecast and traffic coming your way. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus.
Happy Monday, everybody. We are expecting our high temperatures to get in the lower to the mid-90s today. We could have a real feel as much as 100 degrees plus, but mainly hovering around that 99, 100 degree point for our maximum peak heat index. We have scattered showers and thunderstorms first starting in the mountains. They slide down to the southeast. So I think the Charlotte area has the best chance for storms after 4, and then we'll have some lingering storm activity actually as late as midnight and beyond, especially around the I-40 corridor. Any storm could provide some localized flooding and then also a chance for a quick burst of winds and some localized wind damage, so keep that in mind. Our rain chances still staying elevated for your Tuesday into Wednesday, then kind of back to that usual isolated storm nature, and I think they start to come back up by the weekend. Our range of highs 91 to 96 over the next 7 days, so a typical July pattern in place. Majestic, what's going on traffic-wise?
Good morning, everyone. It is gorgeous outside. A whole lot of sunshine, 77 degrees the moment you step outside. One thing I want to let you know about is that we're following an accident on I-85 here, northbound lanes. You can see all of that red indicating that backup. Right now, the right lane is blocked because of the wreck. It's on exit 23, but it's backed up to New Hope Road. That's exit 20. So your alternate route this morning would just be to take that Highway 74 if you're heading northbound. We'll have more this morning coming up on WCNC Plus. We'll see you then.
Streaming live right now at 8 a.m. right here on WCNC+. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Caitlin Hagwood. Lisa has the day off. We do begin with breaking news. The Avery County Sheriff's Office needs your help finding a missing child. Deputies say this 11-year-old was last seen at his home in the area of Minneapolis, about 15 minutes west of Newland.
Now, so far, investigators have not released his name, but they say he's believed to be on foot heading toward Elk Park or Frank. He was last seen wearing all camo, bright green shirt underneath. If you see him, call police. All right, let's bring in Chris. He's got a check of your Monday forecast.
Thanks a lot, Ben. Yeah, it's going to be a hot, humid, and a chance for storm type of scenario. Oh, wait, that was yesterday. Oh, wait, that was the day before. Yeah, nothing really unusual for a July pattern. Sometimes I feel really repetitive during this time of the year because it has to be a major front or some developing low or tropical low that really spices up the forecast all in all, but that really hasn't been the case in scenario. And we actually dropped the moisture slightly in the temperatures on Tuesday and Wednesday. Not really a big swing. We are warming things up nicely, though. Back up to around 77 in Charlotte, Rock Hill, same thing over in Lancaster as well. And if you're taking a morning coffee break over the next hour or two, temperatures will be warming up in a hurry. Wind's very light today, so that actually adds to our warm up. 81 to 84, and then back to around 90 degrees come 1 p.m. What about our storm chances? Our storm chances, I think, are fairly low overall. We're still going to be feeling like the upper 90s to around 100, as I just mentioned. But check this out. You don't really have a lot of activity until a little bit later on. I think it's really after 4 for the greater Charlotte area, starting around 2 o'clock for up in the mountains. And then the big deal is I think it's a better chance for the evening hours. That's where we're seeing things a little bit more scattered. So just don't let your guard down that you could still have a strong storm up until about 9 o'clock. Nothing really too unusual as far as the severe weather potential, just kind of what you would expect for this time of the year. And then we're keeping an eye on just another round of showers and storms for your Tuesday and beyond, and then we're pretty much back to that what you would expect for this time of year. As I mentioned, I wanted to start off with our tropical development outlook. So officially for the 8 o'clock hour, not much was updated. There was a 10% chance of development, and then now it's a 30% chance for development over the next 7 days. So that really puts us in the Wednesday to, I would say, around Friday time frame that a low pressure system could develop into a tropical system right about here. Now, a lot can change because that system is actually still nowhere near us, and it's going to churn its way just off towards the east before we start to see that chance. Now, if this becomes a tropical depression, it's tropical depression number 4. But if it becomes a tropical storm, we're talking about Tropical Storm Dexter. And the reason why this is interesting is Dexter is a brand new name. We've never had a Dexter before because the previous list, because these will cycle every 6 years, was Hurricane Dorian. Dorian is one of the strongest hurricanes ever in the Atlantic hurricane season history, and I had, I think, peak wind about 185 miles per hour. But the biggest deal was how slow it was moving. At one point, it was stationary once it was making landfall in the Bahamas. Absolutely devastating storm. So that was an easy retirement. Dexter now takes its name, and as of right now, if Dexter is the next name one, this will not be a major system. But hey, we already saw what Chantal can do. Still could lead to a lot of inland flooding. So something that we want to keep an eye on down to the south and see its secondary impacts for us. Average first storm dates usually have storm number 4 in the Atlantic, August 15th. I think we're going to be ahead of schedule because we've already been doing it by about a month in recent weeks. And by the August 22nd time frame, we should have storm number 5. And at that point, you're pretty much getting a new storm every week and less than that. Over the next 6 hours, you see temperatures getting in the lower 90s before you know it, and then we'll continue to see those developing showers and storms. Moving on to Tuesday, though, this is our best chance and the most active Futurecast I have. So sometimes I like to show you the worst case scenario. This would be a busy map allowing for storms to come from the northwest and the southeast, and it could collide some pretty decent downfalls, especially here in the foothills and the mountains. So if there's any flooding rains tomorrow, I think it's going to be from Hickory up into the mountains, and then eventually this starts to fizzle off. I don't think it lasts as deep into the evening as what the current time frame is showing. So our 7-day forecast, still a chance for an isolated storm for the Charlotte FC match, but hopefully it trends in a good direction. Thursday and Friday, best days or best chances of staying dry. Getting warmer by 1 degree Tuesday heading into the weekend. By the weekend, 95 to 96. Now, one more note. What I was showing you for the Gulf, if that makes an inland push to the northeast, that's going to affect us, maybe more cloud cover. But I think one thing for sure, regardless of what it does, we do see an uptick in the moisture in the atmosphere. That could up our rain rates and give us a better chance for rain through the weekend. So just be advised that the back end of the 7-day forecast could change, all depending on what that tropical system does. So just letting you know, that is the current update. Take care, drive safely, and let's get over to Majestic to see how traffic is faring.
Good morning, everyone. Well, at least it's a nice start to our Monday morning as we're easing our way into our new work week. It is warm, it is sunny, 77 degrees right now. Want to show you I-85. Hard to tell right here, but traffic is moving a little slower than it typically is this time of the day in northbound lanes because we're following this ongoing accident. You can see all the red right here indicating that cars are at a stop and go right now. Right now, the right-hand lane on I-85 North around exit 23, it's blocked. So that's why cars are really moving very slowly. The backup is all the way to Hope Road. That's exit 20. Your best alternate route if you're heading inbound, northbound, will just be to take Highway 74 right there. You can see most of my map there for Highway 74, mainly in the green. That'll be your best option right there. Another lane currently is blocked because of an additional crash. It's on Idlewild Road. You can still see all of that red and orange here. We're still learning more about this one, but it's definitely seeing those slow moving conditions if you are heading that direction. I-77 up and down, and you can see lots of red. It is our Monday morning. Even if you're coming in from South Carolina, you're going to have those slow going conditions, especially once you move past the I-485 loop. We'll have another check on those roads coming up here shortly.
Well, right now, CMPD is investigating a violent weekend in Uptown, including a mass shooting. One person is now dead and several others are still recovering this morning.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane joining us now live from Uptown. And Richard, these two shootings happened just blocks apart, all happening near several bars in Uptown.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Kaylin. It's actually happened not far from where I'm standing right here outside the entrance to First Ward Park. Police this morning say they continue to investigate both of these shootings and also looking into the possibility if they were in all connected. Now, all of this has people concerned in this community after the violence erupted in Uptown in two separate shootings near the city's busy nightlife district, this in the First Ward area. Now, the first incident happened early Saturday morning around 2:30 in a parking lot. That's at 219 East 7th Street. That's right here, also near First Ward Park. Medic was able to rush one person to Novant Health Presbyterian Medical Center with what they say were life-threatening injuries. Just 24 hours later, around 2 a.m. Sunday morning, shots again ringing out, this time on North College Street, just blocks away from that scene that happened Saturday. One person died at the scene. That was a 37-year-old man who actually worked at a nearby nightclub. 3 other folks were transported to the hospital. 2 more victims arrived at the hospital on their own. Charlotte Mecklenburg police are investigating Sunday's shooting as a homicide, but they're still not giving us a lot of other information as to the possible motive or any of the victims involved. While some say the incidents have them living on edge up here in Uptown, or people who visit the Uptown area, others told us they try not to live in fear.
I want everybody to get along and be safe down here. You know, I've lived down in the city for 30 years, so I obviously feel good. Obviously, people make mistakes, but I always feel safe in this city. Yeah, you know, no matter when, morning, day, or night. You know, I don't frequent super late at night, but I really feel comfortable here.
And again, police are saying this morning that if you have information about this incident, they're asking you to give them a call. We're right here in our Uptown, First Ward actually. We'll send it back to you.
And Richard, we know this all happened near several nightclubs. Again, the Encore, Hive, QC Social Lounge, all in that one general area. I know we got a statement from Encore talking about one of their teammates. I know you alluded to that. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're learning from that club at this hour?
Yeah. Well, they're doing, and also they're doing something. There's a reason why when we say these shootings happen, it's sometimes tough. We don't say where they happened near, because that might make people think they happened inside, or the people in that club were responsible in that incident. In this particular incident, it happened outside in the general area near those clubs that you mentioned, including Encore. That's where a bartender who was working at the club, a 37-year-old man, came out with other people and unfortunately was an innocent victim in the shooting by all accounts, and that person was shot and killed. Of course, the club is overwrought. They made a comment saying that it didn't happen inside their club. It was something that happened outside the nightclub, and that's the same for those other clubs as well. So police are still trying to piece together that information and, of course, find whoever's responsible for all of these shootings so that those people can be brought to justice. All this is, some families are dealing with their loved ones in hospitals, and at least one family is dealing with having to plan a funeral, an unexpected funeral for their loved one.
Yeah, going to work that night. A lot of others just going uptown for a fun night. Certainly didn't expect anything like this. All right, Richard Devane reporting live for us there in First Ward. Richard, thank you for that. We're following another shooting in Northwest Charlotte. One person seriously injured around 1 a.m. yesterday on Nady's Court. That's off of Freedom Drive near the FedEx Shipping Center. No word yet what led up to that shooting or if police have a suspect.
And at least one suspect is still on the run this morning after an attempted robbery ended in gunfire. It happened Friday night outside the food court at the Carolina Place Mall in Pineville. The victim was shot in the leg, but this morning we can tell you they are expected to be okay. People we spoke to call the incident unsettling.
It normally doesn't really happen, especially like malls here.
You come here to chop work and see like a shooting. It can be like scary.
Well, in a statement, Brookfield Properties, which owns the mall, called it an isolated incident. Detectives are still reviewing surveillance video in the case. And to a sad update this morning on that massive apartment fire in South Charlotte last week. We're now learning one of the 6 victims has died. Well, we know that right now the victim is an adult man. 5 other people were injured, including a 3-year-old and a 13-year-old. 2 of the patients were taken to a burn center. They're working to recover. The cause is still under investigation, but officials don't believe arson is to blame.
Happening today, a new name, but somewhat familiar name, expected to join the race for Charlotte City Council's District 6 seat. That's in South Park. Krista Bakari, the wife of former Councilman Tark Bakari. She previously applied to fill that seat temporarily, but lost in a tiebreaker vote. She's expected to officially file to run later today.
Live look now from the White House, where the Trump administration is facing some tough questions on trade and immigration this morning. As
NBC's Alice Barr explains, the president standing firm on tariffs while his cabinet defends recent immigration action.
President Trump stepping up trade tensions again with more top U.S. trading partners over the weekend, announcing new 30% tariffs on Mexico and the European Union, set to take effect August 1st, while signaling he's still open to negotiate.
We're dealing with other countries and certain countries that would rather have a deal than a regular tariff, and we're willing, if they're willing to open up.
European leaders sharply critical of the tariffs they say would hurt businesses and consumers on both sides, pledging to intensify negotiations while warning they could retaliate. Mexico calling the new levies unfair treatment after President Trump accused the country of not stopping the cartels. Despite tariff uncertainty over the past several months, inflation has cooled, and the Trump administration is adamant prices won't go up.
Well, these tariffs are real if the president doesn't get a deal that he thinks is good enough. But, you know, conversations are ongoing, and we'll see where the dust settles.
While some experts warn of a looming cumulative impact if all the threatened import taxes go through.
Everything is going to cost more over time.
At the same time, Homeland Security head Kristi Noem is defending her department's response to the deadly flooding in Texas, sharply refuting claims that a policy requiring her sign-off on contracts over $100,000 caused delays.
Those contracts.
And on the future of FEMA.
The president recognizes that FEMA should not exist the way that it always has been. It needs to be redeployed in a new way.
Pointing to other federal resources like the Coast Guard that helped respond. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Well, there's bad news this morning for South Carolina homeowners. New data shows home insurance rates could go up due to a busy hurricane season. According to a new report, South Carolina has the 4th highest chance of getting hit by a major hurricane. The state has seen damage from heavy rain and storm surges in the past, so insurance companies are raising rates because disasters are causing more losses. But there are ways that you can lower costs, including adding home improvements like storm-resistant windows, choosing higher deductibles to lower your premiums, and paying out of pocket for minor damage to avoid rate increases. As we continue to deal with hot temperatures, you may find it harder to stay active, but experts say continuing that exercise routine is so important. Mandy Gaither has tips on how to safely exercise in the heat.
Your body's need for exercise doesn't take a summer break.
I tell my patients, keep active, make sure you're exercising, doing your cardio 30 minutes a day with cardio activity, putting in some weight resistance training on top of that during the week.
Dr. Jesse Bracamonte with Mayo Clinic says that while staying active year-round is important, exercising in the heat can put you in harm's way if you're not careful. He says you have to be mindful of the heat, humidity, and dryness.
Just be intentional and be careful out in the summer months, particularly if you're not used to these summer months or the high humidity or the heat waves that come along.
If your exercise routine takes you outdoors, Bracamonte says to go out when the sun's not as strong, early in the morning or in the evening when it's cooler. And hydration is key. Before exercise, he recommends drinking at least 20 to 30 ounces of water to get the body started in hydration. And during exercise, rehydrating every 15 to 20 minutes to keep the body from depleting itself. And after being active, continue that hydration.
You want your urine to look like clear lemonade. That's a sign of hydration rather than dark apple juice color.
Bracamonte says to also wear appropriate clothing. He recommends loose, light material. And if you do exercise outdoors, find a place that has shade if possible.
Staying cool is really key.
Good 3. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Chris, all good things to keep in mind because once again and for the foreseeable future, it's going to be really hot.
Yeah, you forget how each day is almost the same. You have the low to the mid 90s, a chance of feeling like 100 degrees. It's really the anomalies where you have extra moisture or an elevated temperature close to 100 degrees that if a couple of things you're feeling like the 105 plus, which especially is the danger zone. Now it's just the usual summertime danger as that guy is running on by. So you're running forecast. You can expect the lower to the upper 80s from now until about noon. We barely have a breeze today, so sometimes when you have a nice breeze, especially out of the north, that's a little bit cooler air that is coming on in. Nah, this isn't really going to help us out too much, so winds less than 10 miles per hour allow all that heat to sit here at the surface. Already seeing off in the distance some of these upper level clouds, some of these chunk clouds, these stratocumulus clouds, one of the most common of all cloud cover across the earth. Well, this is going to just ensue a typical pattern. The afternoon, the evening has the best chance for storms. I think more so the evening today. Most of us across Charlotte are going to stay dry for most afternoon hours, but we will have a few isolated storms here or there, and that's the way it's been. Some of us have gotten multiple rounds of storms, others barely anything over the last week, and we're near normal hot, so the lower to the mid-90s, and that flood risk, well, it's possible all week long with any of these slow-moving thunderstorms. I think it's highest heading into the weekend, and that could have to do with what our developing system is doing down towards the south, just off the Florida coast. 91 to 94, that's what we have across the greater Charlotte area. Not too shabby, feeling at most around 100 degrees max, and that's really where we've been for the most part for our max heat indices. Looking at our Futurecast rainfall though, for your Tuesday heading into Wednesday, these aren't very high values. Oftentimes you can see these start to surge where some areas see 2 inches, 1 inch. Yes, that's a possibility, but as of right now, this kind of seems to be a typical forecast. Starting in the mountains, then develops down to the southeast. We do that each and every day. Just a little bit more widespread for the near term. Then eventually this low and this trough that's overhead that's really upping our rain chances today and tomorrow, that's going to sink its way down to the south. And then these two will pass off towards the west. So it's right in this zone that we could have our next tropical storm. That, of course, is going to create a lot of heavy rain. But there's a lot of question marks what it's going to do, where it's going to go, because we don't even have an investigation number for this storm because we don't have all the ingredients in place. So I think primarily Wednesday heading to Friday, chance for a tropical development development down here, that could have an indirect effect on our forecast heading the weekend. I think the main thing, it feels a little bit more humid, and we could have a few more storms because of it. Now let's talk about today. 2 o'clock, that's where I think we open up our storm opportunity, but I think it's first develops here. See some of this? This cloud cover is showing that maybe you're seeing a lot more of those cumulus clouds develop. Maybe some that look like they're going to become thunderstorms, but I think more so really between about 4 and 8 is where we have kind of the peak development where it's starting to take over the map. But this storm activity is going to continue a little bit longer than it usually does. I think this lasts well up until midnight and beyond, especially if you live around the I-40 corridor, and then we rinse and repeat. Tomorrow morning, I think we start off cloudier because we have some fog, and then same thing, storms fire up in the mountains and they work their way down towards the southeast. Still a chance for an isolated storm, and I think on Wednesday, better chance for storms further off towards the east. In our overnight forecast, we're down to 73. And then rocking the mid to the upper 70s most of the overnight. So that's quite warm and still above normal. And our Futurecast visibilities, I think, should be good by about 9 a.m. tomorrow. But we are expecting those to drop down to about a half mile from place to place. I think it's primarily between about 5 and 8 o'clock. But once you get to about this time, you're good to go. Tomorrow's forecast, seeing also our rain chances a little bit earlier. That's for the isolated nature, but I think more so heading into the late day in the evening. Not a guarantee, just again, scattered rain chances today and tomorrow. Then we have a 20 to 30% chance for rain on Wednesday and Thursday. So that's the usual pop-up storms where most likely going to stay dry. But then by the weekend, we start to see a turn up as far as that moisture goes. 91 to 96 across the area. So a typical July forecast. Actually, it's an above average July forecast, and that's also aided the 8th warmest start to July through 13 days in Charlotte history. That obscure fact is going to end this 7-day forecast. Now let's head over to Majestic, see what's going on this busy traffic morning.
Good morning, everyone. Beautiful still outside, 77 degrees. Lots of sunshine out there. Grab those sunglasses, your water bottles, start hydrated now. It's going to be a hot summer day, but your morning commute, that's I-85 there. Not looking too bad for that specific location, but still following this ongoing wreck. It's on I-85 northbound between exits 23 and 20. That's where we do have a backup that is still building. So with that being said, the right-hand lane, it's currently blocked because of that ongoing crash. Your best alternate route is to take Highway 74 instead to get right around that if you're heading towards the Uptown area or just inbound in general. This crash here is still seeing some red with it. A lane is blocked because of it. It's on Idlewild Road. We're continuing to follow what's going on there. I think just the car is in the street, just not pushed off to the side quite yet. Another lane that's blocked, it's on North Lake Center Parkway at Mount Holly Huntersville Road. This is our newest ongoing wreck, still seeing a lot of green with it, but if we start to see those backups, I'll be sure to let you know as well. Wanted to give you a big perspective of what's going on along I-77. It is just that time of the day. We have those slow going conditions, especially if you're coming in from South Carolina heading inbound. We will keep you up to date. That's what I'm looking at for now. As things change, we will let you know.
Majestic, thanks. 8:22 right now on WCNC Plus. Time now to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. If you've been chasing summer sales all summer long, you might not be saving as much as you think.
Summer sales are everywhere, but those big discounts may not be as good as they seem. Let's connect the dots. NBC News tracked prices on nearly 200 items at major retailers like Amazon, Walmart, and Best Buy. And they found a pattern. Many prices went up right before the sale. Take a popular Keurig machine. It rose from $199 to $219 and then dropped to $139 for Amazon Prime Day. Still, it's a good discount, but it's much smaller than what you expected. The strategy is not new. Experts say retailers often raise prices in the weeks before a big sale, so the discount looks bigger. Still, shoppers showed up in force. Online spending during the July sales event topped $24 billion, up 30% from last year. Bottom line, if you really want to know if a deal is real, track prices before the sale starts. And that is Connecting the Dots.
All right, peach season has officially arrived, and yes, it's a little bit early here in North Carolina. Farmers say the warm weather caused fruit to arrive almost 2 weeks early. The good news is the extreme temperatures didn't cause any harm, didn't damage the crop, and actually helped with production. The downside is this means that peach season will end a little bit sooner than normal.
Peaches from a farm stand, I mean, well, anything from a farm stand always tastes better.
Right? They do. It makes all the difference. It makes all the difference. But yeah, so good news. Go out, make some peach cobbler.
Yeah.
What's your favorite cobbler?
Probably peach cobbler. What's your favorite cobbler?
I'm thinking like a blackberry.
Yeah?
I'll have to think about it though.
Interesting.
I mean, it's a cobbler. I mean, what's not to like? All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break as we take a live picture right now over Uptown to get your Monday started right. More news, weather, and traffic right here all day long on WCNC Plus.
Good morning and welcome to your Monday. 94 for a high today, just a tick cooler than what we had yesterday, but it's feeling just as high. Yesterday's peak heat index was 100. I think we're doing that again for today. And there will be a chance for a few storms, but I think primarily during the evening. So check it out. Really don't see signs of storms starting to build until about 2 to 5 o'clock. Could be an isolated guy right around the Charlotte area, but we're seeing the most action really to begin the evening, and we'll see this pretty persistent through the evening hours as well. Slight chance we could have some wind damage and also some localized flooding because these are going to be very slow moving. And the latest showers and thunderstorms should be right around the I-40 corridor, but that could jog into your Tuesday morning. Rain chances a little bit higher for tomorrow. We'll see those scattered again mid to late afternoon heading into the evening, and then the usual 20 to 30% chance for rain after that. 94 today, 91 by tomorrow, and then each day we get 1 degree warmer back to the mid-90s by this coming weekend. Majestic, a lot more icons on your map. What's going on?
We got a lot going on. I-77, you can see York County looking great. Traffic is flowing, but it's definitely still picking up as more people are waking up and heading out the door. Not the only area, though. You can see I-85 here, much of the same, feeling like it's almost 80 degrees as you head out the door. Lots of sunshine. I-85 northbound, I have my eyes on this area specifically as there has been a crash right now. The shoulder is blocked, so we're making some improvements. It's at exit 23, backed up to exit 20. Your best alternate route this morning to get around that will be just to take Highway 74. We'll have more on that coming up on WCNC Plus. We'll see you there.
Happy Monday, folks. Streaming live right now at 8:30 right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Caitlin Hagwood. Lisa has the day off. In just hours, a major construction project is going to start, and it will have a big impact on your commute.
Yeah, starting tonight, construction crews are going to shut down part of I-77 in both directions in Mooresville.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards live this morning with a closer look at what's changing and what it means for you. Destiny, what can you tell us?
Yeah, tonight you can expect lane closures on I-77 in both directions here near exit 36 in Mooresville. It's all part of a massive road project to improve NC 150 here in Mooresville and Iredell County, but unfortunately that means traffic is going to get worse temporarily before it gets better. Now, this is starting at 8 o'clock tonight. The right lanes on I-77 in both directions near exit 36 will close, and it's just the beginning of a $249 million project to widen NC 150 from NC 16 in Catawba County to US 21 in Mooresville. And this includes a brand new 10-lane bridge over I-77. Crews are working in phases, starting with widening eastbound traffic on NC 150, then westbound, then the bridge construction. 2 lanes will remain open in each direction on I-77, but you can expect nightly closures from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. NCDOT says when the new bridge is finished, the existing one will be torn down.
The new bridge is going to have 10 lanes. That's not all through lanes. Of course, there's going to be some turn lanes on the bridge as well. But once all that's done, we tie it into Highway 150 on the approaches from both directions, and then we can remove the existing bridge.
That was Jen Goodwin with NCDOT, and she was also saying that this right lane closure on I-77 in both directions, that's what they're starting off with, but it could change just as this project goes on. So really expect some kind of closure on I-77 during the duration of this project, but they don't have a definitive completion date for it. They said just this first phase of work is expected to take several months, but as we know, that's going to be a big headache for people in a very busy part of Iredell County. Ben?
Yeah, busy and growing by the day. Destiny, you touched on this a little bit, but you said there's going to be a lot of the work is going to be done overnight when traffic is of course not as much. But so does that mean people's morning commutes are still going to be affected or not?
Yeah, so just the beginning part of this work is going to be overnight. So that is going to be those lane closures just as they work to get these parts of the bridge set up to start that 10-lane bridge construction. But there's going to be construction happening really across NC 150. It's about a 5.5-mile construction project. This is just the beginning phase of it, which of course is going to be in those overnight hours, but that could change as time goes on. So we know that the first phase in general is to start with those eastbound lanes of NC 150, then westbound lanes, then the bridge construction. So while the construction times could vary, we're just starting with those overnight hours. We also know that they're trying to, again, make this a much safer road. They said they're going to be doing something called reduced conflict intersections. So on NC 150, as they're working, they're going to be changing some of these intersections where if you're on a side street so that you don't have to turn left across all the lanes of NC 150, you would turn right and then go down several miles and pull a U-turn instead to go back the other direction, which they said is a safer method. So they're going to be doing a lot of work to this road, and it's yet to be seen what those closures might look like as time goes on.
I'll tell you what, that is a testament to the growth not only of Charlotte, but more specifically in your case, the growth of our entire region when you have an area 40 minutes outside of Charlotte with a 10-lane bridge going in over the interstate. I mean, that's a monstrosity. Goodness. All right, Destiny Richards reporting live for us up in Mooresville. Destiny, thank you. And now to another major construction project that begins today in Northeast Charlotte. Starting tonight at 9, you can expect lane closures on I-85 between Mallard Creek Church Road and W.T. Harris. That's, of course, in University. Crew is putting in safety barriers, and work is expected to last through early September. So speaking of all of that, let's go ahead and check in with Majestic, who's looking at your Monday morning commute.
All right, good morning, guys. Want to stick with that construction, though. I want to give you some alternate routes because these are two really big projects that'll be ongoing. We'll start with I-85 here because a couple of things I've noticed with this one that stand out. It starts today, but it lasts all the way through September 11th. One lane in each direction, remember, will be closed, and this will mainly impact you throughout the overnight hours, starting at 9 o'clock tonight all the way until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning for that I-85 impact. So your alternate route to get around it, this is one of many. It's just to stay on I-85, get onto I-485, and then Tryon will help you merge right onto that service road. That'll help to get you right around that. And then an additional one, of course, this one is going to be a bit of a headache as well. I-77. Noticing a couple of things. This is in Mooresville at exit 36, where, yes, there will be impacts that'll be ongoing for quite some time as well. This commute is going to slow many people down, as we always see those slowdowns in the morning time and even the evening time hours as well. But we're going to continue to follow this for you. This alternate route for this will just be easiest just to take Highway 21. All right, now big picture perspective for your morning commute this morning. It is still busy, but really I still have my eyes on I-85 northbound. Look at all of that red, still indicating stop and go traffic. Remember, an accident has now blocked the shoulder. It was blocking the right lane, so we're making some progress there. It's at exit 23, but it's backed up all the way to exit 20. Your alternate route this morning will be just to take Highway 74, which is just right below it, heading in the same direction. And then remember, this lane is also blocked. It's on North Lake Center Parkway at Mount Holly Huntersville Road. We'll have another check on those roads coming up in just a bit, but for now, that's what I'm looking at. Chris, how's the weather this morning?
Whoa, sorry about that. Not too bad. Officially yesterday was the 27th time at 90 degrees. That's not how you should start any weather segment or anything on TV or social media. So, all right, we're good. 27 times we've hit 90 degrees so far in 2025. Last year on this day, we had 23 days officially that it hit 90 plus. This is actually the most that we've had up to this date since 2022. So about 3 years since we've had this many stretches of 90s. And then 88 is the most back in 1954. I'm hoping that we get nowhere near that, because that means that's a lot of 90s in September. We also have quite the range, down to 91 by tomorrow. That's because of more cloud cover, up to 96 and back to 92. This is what you expect. Truly, we have an average of 90 or 91 through the month of July, but oftentimes we exceed that, getting into the mid-90s. Typically, you'll usually have 91, 92, but we've hit a lot of those mid-90s, even the upper 90s in recent days. Actually, we've hit 98 4 times so far. Current temperatures right now up to 77 degrees. Our next update, we can easily get those into the 80s. 79 right around Lancaster, and then 72 for you around Concord. Seeing some clouds starting to crease off in the distance. That means we have an ample amount of mid-level moisture. Models are over the place. This has been kind of a nightmare trying to track, hey, where's the rain? For the most part, I think that most of us are staying dry throughout the day. Only exception would be the mountains and the foothills, seeing rain a little bit earlier. But once you get about 4 or 5 o'clock, that's where those storms start to fire up, so most of the window is staying dry up to that point. We'll hit 94, feeling like 100 degrees. It's cooler than yesterday for actual air temperature, but we have more moisture. Those balance out. Yesterday we hit a peak heat index of 100. I think we do that again with a very light wind and a chance for some scattered storms. By tomorrow, a little bit cooler because of the cloud cover, 91. It's one of those scenarios that we've seen recently that, hey, you kind of have to wait for that cloud cover to burn off. So here's a look at our Futurecast. I'm going to show you the model that I think that's going to happen, because since we have a little extra time, I want to show you how outlandish some of these can be. The two big go-tos are the ones that update every hour. It picks up on the current atmospheric conditions and kind of feeds it back into the system. This one doesn't have a storm to really develop until about 2 to 4, and then we start to see a lot more activity to close out the afternoon. Heading into the evening, these are scattered all over the place. These are going to be very slow moving. They have a mind of their own. So anytime you can have a storm, but it's not just a quick pop-up. I think some could actually last up to 2 hours, just with a variety intensity of rain. Once you get to around midnight, we still have some scattered storms, more so north of I-40, and then we'll start to see those wind down. Let's do it again. Showers and storms pop up in the mountains. Then we have a chance for isolated storms a little bit closer to home, becoming a little more widespread northwest of us. I think it's right in here that we're going to see most of the rain. So it's another day that I think Charlotte stays dry most of the day. Only exception might be an isolated storm, and thereafter we'll do it again for your Wednesday. But now I'm going to show you the other model. the other one. 1 p.m. We have scattered showers and storms. How do you know this is bogus? It already popped up a storm around 9 o'clock. We don't have any indications of it. And then it becomes scattered all over the place, and then it ends during the evening, and then we still have the one correlation that it keeps rain right around the I-40 corridor, and then it starts precipitation early yet again. This one is actually a little bit more in line with what we're seeing. Still heavier rain right between Hickory and Banner Elk, so it's the mountains and the foothills that we see most of that corridor. But a chance for isolated to scattered thunderstorms. So not trying to overcomplicate, just letting you know, likely we're staying dry during most of the afternoon, but after 4 o'clock, I think is Charlotte's window, more so after 2 o'clock for the mountains and the foothills over the coming days. As far as Wednesday goes, I think that we shift the intensity a little bit further off towards the east. So those in Albemarle, Wadesboro, Rockingham, who are likely staying dry over the next couple of days, it's your turn to have a little bit more widespread rain. Our rain chances are still scattered and covering at least 40% of the map over the next couple of days. After that, it's just an isolated chance. That's that 20 to 30 that you typically see on our maps. But those could come up because we're still looking at a 10 to 30% chance that this could have a name. And this doesn't even have all of its pieces because actually it's the trough and the low that's over us right now in the Carolinas. That's going to dip its way to the south. That swings across Florida off towards the west. And I would say between about Wednesday to Friday, formation happens right here. There are so many factors that could go into this. For one, it's going to allow us to be a lot more humid. So, but the back end of our forecast depends if we get the storms or not. But any storms that form by the weekend and beyond, it's kind of like one of those post deals that we saw over in Texas. It was actually the remnants of Barry that led to more moisture. I'm not saying we're going to see that, but sometimes it's whatever the leftover pieces, the leftover ingredients from these tropical systems that kind of change things in the near long term. So I think within the week that system, if it's just a low or if it gets a name, it's still going to allow us to be a little bit more humid and keep more moisture in the atmosphere otherwise than what we would previously have. Seeing all that moisture pushing on through, there's still a big question mark if it's even going to develop out there. There's a lot of things working against it, such as wind shear and all that jazz. So we'll wait and see. By tomorrow, I think we'll have a better idea. But I would just say Wednesday to Friday, next chance for it to be a tropical depression or tropical storm. As for our high temperatures over the next 7 days, 91 to 96 is our range, and a chance for storms is the game. Typical week of July coming up here. 91 is where we should be. Well, we actually only have one average day, and that's tomorrow. Take care.
All right, Chris, thanks. Right now in Morganton, dozens of rehab patients are without a place to go this morning after a fire. WCNC Charlotte's Anna King was at the Grace Heights Rehabilitation Center and has what's next for those impacted.
Sunday around 1 p.m., Morganton Public Safety was dispatched to Grace Heights Rehabilitation Center, where a fire had broken out.
What I was seeing was just a lot of the fire trucks and the ambulances that cruised up first, and a lot of the police department from Morganton came in really quickly.
Neighbors say they see sirens all the time, but this time felt different.
I was worried. I was worried it was Grace Ridge. I was worried it was that area. I was worried it was the hospital.
When crews arrived, they found active flames inside and raced to get the fire under control. No lives were lost as a result of the fire, but 90 patients had to be evacuated and are now displaced. Facility leaders say almost immediately it was all hands on deck, with the people in the community offering to help with resources.
There's a lot of good folks around Morganton, and they always reach out to help each other out, always.
As officials work to place every patient somewhere safe for the time being, the cause of the fire is still under investigation. In Burke County, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
8:44 right now on WCNC Plus, and we're now learning the Army has agreed to meet with the families of the victims killed in that deadly midair crash over D.C. back in January. A crew from Charlotte was operating that flight when it collided with a military helicopter right before it landed at Reagan Airport. 67 people were killed. The victims' families wrote a letter to the Army Secretary last week. Now that group confirms the Army has reached out to them and is willing to set up a future meeting.
Here's what's happening across the Carolinas. A search is underway this morning for a man accused of committing a lewd act during a children's movie. It happened at the Regal Cinemas in Greenville. Police say the man sat next to a teenage girl and acted inappropriately while she was there with her family. The suspect is still on the loose this morning. One person is recovering this morning after a massive home explosion in the Outer Banks. The blast destroyed the home and nearby cars, sending debris all over that neighborhood. One person was airlifted with severe burns. The cause remains under investigation. And after Tropical Storm Chantal knocked out Mebane water supply, a local business stepped in to help. Wilkerson Catering offered drive-through meals and cold water yesterday. The storm flooded the city's main treatment plant, leaving many homes and businesses without running water. And that's what's happening across the Carolinas.
Well, if you've got a new car loan or are planning to get one, you may have heard about a new tax break in the big, beautiful bill.
It could save you thousands, but there are some catches you got to know about. WCNC Charlotte's Tanya Rivera verifies for us this morning.
You've heard a lot about the one big, beautiful bill, including this headline. You can deduct your auto loan interest off your taxes next year. Is this for anyone who has a car loan? Let's verify. Our sources are the One Big Beautiful Bill and Tiffany Dodson of Stanaland Dodson and Associates. The One Big Beautiful Bill, it's lengthy. Section 70203 details the no tax on car loan interest. The tax deduction is available taxable years 2025 through 2028. And there's a dollar limit that you can deduct, up to $10,000 for each taxpayer. But not every taxpayer can take this deduction. This needs context.
If you're an individual filer, filing single, etc., your income needs to be $100,000 or less to take full advantage of this credit. If you're married filing jointly, it starts phasing out at $200,000. Now, what does that mean? It means that the deduction starts getting reduced. It's reduced $200 for every $1,000 you are over. So at the point that an individual earns $150,000 or a married filing joint earns $250,000, we're phased out. We can't take that interest deduction any longer.
Another stipulation, the tax deduction has a weight limit. The motor vehicle has to be under 14,000 pounds. So cars, trucks, motorcycles, that's fine, but no campers, no RVs. And the vehicle needs to be assembled in America.
Your vehicle has to be American assembled. That is different than made in America, believe it or not. American assembled means the parts, some of them could have been made overseas, but they were all assembled on American soil. So there's a key. Assembled in America, not made in America.
So we can verify you can deduct your auto loan interest next year if your vehicle was assembled in America and if you fall within the earnings threshold.
And if there's something you would like us to verify, always keep in mind all you got to do is email us at verify@wcnc.com.
If you're still working from home, especially as a mom, you could be paying a hidden price. New data this morning shows men are returning to the office faster than women, and more women are still working remotely. But that flexibility could be costing them raises and promotions. As companies push people back into the office, economists warn that women are more likely to be left behind as they juggle childcare and career goals. Chris?
Thanks a lot, Kaylin. Well, get ready for it to feel anywhere from 98 to about 102 over the next 5 days. That's pretty typical, really, of the last few days. We've felt as warm as 101 to as cool as 97. 97 is not cool, but it is July, so that's pretty much good enough. Here's a look at our surface map. So the reason why I'm showing you this is you have a couple of these little tails, these little troughs. Those are the ones that can usually fire up more rain. This one's situated a little bit further south, but where it is just west of I-77. So I think it's right in here. So that would include Cleveland County up to around Gaston County, over in York and Chester. That has the best chance for maybe a thunderstorm compared to areas off towards the east. These are going to be dancing around the area, but it's also this little ridge right here that could fire up some storms just on the outside. That's why we're seeing some rain right here up through the Virginias, and then eventually that will lead to our next storm chance. Check out the most recent estimated rainfall. It's rained in the mountains, the foothills, north of I-40, down to the south, mainly in our South Carolina counties, but there's a lot of gray here. That means some of us over the last last few days have really received zero rain. It says past 48 hours, but actually this contour here in the background goes back over the last 4 days. I live in Northwest Charlotte. We've barely seen a drop, while others have seen some torrential downpours, and that was including on Saturday. So it just really depends where you are. Things have really been breaking up in the near term. And then you can see for our Futurecast, for our dew points, they're all over the place. They're ranging about 66 to about 74. That's still quite high. That's an uncomfortable to almost borderline miserable range, but nothing unusual for this time of year. The one good thing that happens is usually when we're hitting our peak temperature for the day, we have what's called dew point mixing, so it mixes them down a little bit. That always helps, but it's still making it feel as much as 100 plus from time to time. Quick look at our Monroe camera, lots of sunshine off in the distance, and then we'll see those clouds start to pop up. This is an example of what our models are showing, that if you have a torrential downpour from a thunderstorm, that would bring the upper 80s quickly back down to the 80s before you start to warm back up. So some of us will be brought out of the 90s if that is the case in scenario, but most likely I think we're warming up to about 91 to 94. The only exception is really areas further off towards the north and west. So that's going to be the big deal there. Looking at our extended forecast, you have 94, 91, and then eventually we're gradually back up into the mid 90s. And then you're only going to be dealing with, I would say, isolated storm at best, and a better chance for showers and storms, all depending on what that tropical system is going to do a little bit later on the back end. So let's go real quick for the last bit of this for our Futurecast. This is the model I like, and this is the one that's really lining up with the current atmospheric conditions. As I mentioned, that little trough right through here, that's where I think you're going to have the best chance for a cluster of storms. And what do you know? One little guy pops up there right around 4 to 5 o'clock, and then once you get to about 5 to 7, and then 7 to 9, this is where most of them are sitting. We had this on Saturday. If you were looking at the radar, probably not, but say if you were, you can follow along with me. We had a couple of storms that looked just like this, and they kind of twisted and bended, and then eventually they got out of here, but they lasted pretty late into the evening. Same thing's going to go here. We can have storms as late as really around midnight. I think by about 10 o'clock, we're not really talking about a strong thunderstorm anymore. And then some lingering rain could actually last as late as 4 a.m. Heading into tomorrow, I think we have a little bit of fog. Some areas dealing with that low-level stratus cloud, so I think it's going to be a cloudier beginning to the day. And then yet again, we have showers and storms that develop in the mountains. I think the main concentration of the rain is going to be right through here from Hickory up to Morganton, especially for the mountains, with only some isolated storms around the Charlotte area. This is one of the newest things I'm kind of seeing for our current data. And then heading into your Wednesday, overall, it looks like those storms are going to be a little bit further off towards the east. So that's your rain potential, pretty typical for this time of year. Let's see if tropical is typical for this morning with Majestic. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Well, we have definitely seen our fair share this morning. It is beautiful. I mean, take a look at your TV screen. Gorgeous. You can see Uptown out in the distance, feeling almost 80 degrees as you head out the door. So sunglasses, water bottle, it's going to feel like a hot summer morning, at least a warm one. You can see as we're switching it over to my live traffic map, still following this, a crash here on W.T. Harris Boulevard at IBM Drive. We are continuing to see orange, meaning that cars are currently moving slowly as they are currently clearing that wreck. Want to also give you an update on what's going on I-85, because this has been the big story for a little while now. There was an accident. The shoulder right now is blocked, so they pushed the car over to the side. So seems like traffic is able to flow better, but we are still seeing some backups between exit 23 and exit 20. So if you want to just avoid it all, you can just take Highway 74. That's going to be your best alternate route this morning. Also seeing some slower moving traffic out there, 485. The inner loop there out towards Matthews. Not seeing an accident there, just more people heading out the door. And then I-77 inbound, we are seeing a lot of red, but again, no major accident, just more people heading in the same direction.
Adversary Sprinkle time for our Monday trivia. Very interesting one. This is the longest word in the English language found in dictionaries. It has to appear in the average dictionary. Here is the definition of the word. It's a lung disease caused by the inhalation of very fine silica or quartz dust. Take a look at the word. It is 45 letters. Pneumona ultramicroscopics ilico-volcanoconiosis. Don't ask me to say that again. Once again, that's today's trivia. I'm Larry Sprinkle, and one more time, check out the word right here, 45 letters. I'm not going to say it again.
That is something.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Well, we're going to take a quick break here, but keep it here on WCNC Plus at 8:56. We got a quick update on weather and traffic on the broadcast side, and you'll see those headlines streamed as well. Then our Jane Monreal will take over from our live Impact News studio. You see them getting set up there right now live. We'll have more news coming up right here on WCNC Plus.
Good morning and happy Monday, everybody. High temperatures today going to be in the lower to the mid 90s. The real feel feeling like 99 to 101 degrees across the area. If you're going to see a storm, I think it's late day heading into the early evening, but still some on and off activity is going to be possible through the overnight tonight. And then through your 7-day forecast, tomorrow's the bottom, 91, but that's still an average high. And then 1 degree warmer after that, heading into the weekend, 95, 96, Saturday, Sunday with a chance for storms. Majestic, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. It is beautiful, 81 degrees as you're heading out the door. You can see I-85 here. It is flowing. Lots of people heading out the door, starting their Monday morning commute. Want to give you a couple of updates if that is you. Our drive times right now, they're looking all right, about 26 minutes if you're coming in from Belmont. And as we're looking at my map now, only one ongoing accident to let you know about. It's right here on W.T. Harris Boulevard at IBM Drive. You can see those slowdowns, so allow for a couple of extra minutes to get to where you need to be. Otherwise, our typical slowdowns are building across Independence, even through Matthews on the inner loop of I-485. Hope you have a great Monday.